Happy with the effort this week?
Huh?
Happy with the effort this week?
It was good. I think we had a pretty good week. Wednesday was not good. We got interrupted with the weather. Had to switch meetings and practice around a little bit, but the players handled it well and wasn't a distraction. So we've had a good week of preparation.
You guys going to play Devontae and DJ this week, or give them some?
Oh yeah, they'll play if they're cleared. I don't want them to not play, you know, and if we're able to play them sparingly, we'll see. If we had to play them the whole game, that's what we'll do.
Still kind of up in the air on that.
Well, I think they're going to be cleared. I mean, we just got to make sure that they came out today and practiced, and as long as they feel okay, you know, and don't have any problems from it, they'll be ready to go.
From your experience as a player at the Citadel, what's your most vivid memory from that?
That'd be hard to say. And I guess, you know, the very first ball game I played in as a varsity player, and your freshman weren't eligible when I played. We played Clemson up there and had a close game. That was probably one of the most fun times, but it'd be hard to pick just one.
Have you gone up against the Citadel as an assistant at all?
Yeah, I don't think I have.
I mean, just
somebody asked me that the other day, and I don't think I have in 36 years, and only 4 of them spent at the Citadel. I think it's the first time I've ever coached against
what will the emotions be like for you this week?
It's not a big deal. You know, that doesn't get into it. I know Coach Higgins very well, and certainly still support the Brigadier Club and all the other things I can do and pull for them 364 days out of the year, but it has nothing to do with what we're doing Saturday.
But I mean, for you though, I mean, as a former head coach there, I mean, it's kind of neat. I mean, this is, you know, you're there for 3 years and had 3 good years.
Well, it was 3 good years of building. We had a good team that last year, and had a couple of injuries kept us from going any further. But you know, playing against them or coaching against them is nothing that emotions or anything. It's not a factor in it.
What kind of player were you?
I don't know. You might ought to ask Bobby Ross if you can find him, but I hope you can't.
Ellis, how important is it facing this kind of scheme for your defensive ends to kind of stay home, play assignment football, and not try to over-pursue the quarterback?
Well, it's, you know, everybody talks about the triple option. It's an assignment deal. You know, you limit some of the schemes you can do and some of the blitzes you can do with teams that don't run it, because you don't have to be as sound in all your gaps and all that. So it's the same thing with them that it was with Navy, and they execute it just as well as Navy does, so you have to be just as disciplined.
And also, I mean, having Travian in the middle there to kind of blow up that center and see if he can disrupt it, how important is it?
Well, all of them are important, not just him, but there'll be other tackles who are slid over in some of our fronts, and it's very important they don't get the fullback established, and that one element of it is some penetration there with the tackles. There are a lot of other ways we've got to stop it too, though.
Having already faced Navy this year, is this a little bit easier adjustment this week? Maybe not as much teaching, having already had to do this?
Yeah, it's easier for the players, because at least now when they cut the film on, they've seen an exact same scheme. We've changed what we did a little bit against them, so we still had to come out and get it repped up and practiced, but we didn't want to do the same exact game plan. Taking a couple of schemes with us, but we did put some new stuff in. But when they look at the film now, all the formations, all the movements, the motions, the different blocking schemes they use and all that, it's almost identical, just like it is with all those teams that run that double slot.
Is there anything you miss about running your own program, you know, for 3 years?
Oh, I don't know. I've enjoyed everything I've done. I'm really having fun now and fortunate to be here, but I enjoyed being a head coach, and I had a good staff, and it was a great place to live, and just super kids and to coach and so forth, so it was a lot of fun.
What's the cadet experience like? What's the cadet experience like?
I don't, you know, it would take 3 hours to talk about all of it. I think, you know, it's a wonderful place to go to school. You know, I hear people talk about the character it builds. I don't think it builds character. I think it reveals character. I think when you come from a decent background, and young men go to school, they don't have any problem. They've got, some of them excel, some of them just kind of, you know, exist, if you will. But it's a great education, and it's a good environment. Graduation rates, because of the environment, are fantastic, and it's a very tight-knit alumni, because there are not very many. There are only about 2,000 cadets in school, and not a lot of living alumni. So it's a very tight-knit group, almost like having been a member of a fraternity, I guess, in college.
So you can appreciate their mentality coming in here as kind of a big underdog. And what?
Oh, sure. I mean, in the 3 years I was there, I took teams to Georgia Tech, LSU, Maryland, and it's always a big thrill for those guys, you know, that everybody wants to play on that level, and sometimes you don't get that opportunity. There are guys there now, and I had some players on my team that could have played for those teams, but the bulk of them could not. And to try to challenge and take that challenge upon and go play those guys, a lot of fun.
You had gone through 2 like knob years basically, right? Because you went to Army,
Well,
right?
sort of a year and a half. I signed a scholarship with the Citadel, and after that, my oldest brother, who had played at Army, was assigned back at Army as the head freshman coach. So he taught me to come into West Point. So I went up there and played for a year and stayed in school there for a year, but liked the Citadel better and just went back and finished up.
What did you like about it? Just because it was close to home?
I think probably it was just the fact that I started there, and I kind of cut my friends there, and just the environment. I was excited about going to West Point. At the time, they were playing bigger teams, playing Nebraska and some of those guys, but you don't make a decision to go to West Point based on playing college football. If you do, you're looking at the wrong aspects. And it was kind of a hard decision because transferring twice was very frustrating and boring, if you will. But having 2 older brothers who played there and him being the freshman coach, it all factored into it. And I guess as a 19-year-old, 18-year-old, you start looking at a lot of different things. I really enjoyed my time at Citadel and my education there and the experience and all the friends and everything I've still got.
You played for some guys who went on to become really notable head coaches, obviously Bobby Ross and Frank Beamer and those guys. How much did that influence your desire to want to be a head coach, what you saw in those guys? Because some of those guys weren't that much older than you at the time.
No, they weren't. I think Coach Ross was 34 when he coached us. I know Coach Beamer, Coach Friedgen, Coach Rizzo, Coach Laycock, those guys were in their 20s. But my first influence on wanting to be a coach was my high school coach, who was here in Columbia, Joe Tuberville. And as I got in college, I was studying different things, going down the field of mathematics, and one time I was in engineering. But after being around Coach Ross, and his staff for about a year or 2, I knew I wanted to try to coach. So I stayed there as a student coach 1 year with them. And still, a lot of the things I do today came from the structure, the organization, the meticulous approach that he and his staff had. And it was a big influence, not only going into coaching, but how I've probably done a lot of the things I have in my philosophy of coaching.
1976, that first job, if I told you you'd be here today, 35 years later, making what you make, and coaches' salaries would be what they make, what would you have said?
I could have envisioned being here. 36 years later might have been a little hard. The money that's in this stuff now is it's crazy. I made more money in 28 days at Arkansas than I did the first 3 years I coached in high school. So I think in spite of what I'm making now, I think I've averaged making about $80,000 a year in my 36 years. But it has changed. In 36 years, I've seen a lot of changes in this business, and that's one of them. It's amazing.
Is that for the better, though?
Well, in some aspects it is, but the only thing that I hate to see is I really think there's becoming a wider margin between the bigger haves and the have-nots, and you cannot blame the haves for approaching it the way they do. It's get in or get out, but the money's really getting hard on the smaller schools, and I think that the divide will keep growing with the mega conferences and some of the other things, television. I can remember when Citadel played on television a couple of times a year. And back before the lawsuit was brought by the 2 coaches that did back in, I guess it was in the 70s when that happened. And it's just changed so much. TV money is what's driving it all.
Just you kind of reflecting on your time in your coaching career. How much longer do you see yourself coaching?
I don't know. My children are very young. I've got 5th, 3rd, and 1st graders. I don't plan on retiring anytime soon. And I don't know anything I would enjoy as much as coaching. So I hope, I'm in great health, and I hope I'm going to be able to coach for at least about 10 more years. And because of the ages of my children, mainly at that time, when they finish high school or whatever, I'd hope they'd have more free time to, go see them play hopefully one day, or if they're not playing, go visit them and so forth.
Your head coaching days over, or is that something that's still out there for you?
Oh, I don't know. I'm loving what I'm doing now. I'm living near my hometown, in my hometown, and very well treated here. Love working for Coach Spurrier. Southeastern Conference, it doesn't get much better than that. So I don't worry about that. If an opportunity came along that I thought was fun and had an opportunity to win and get a good staff together and all that, I think it'd be great to do it. I certainly would not shy away from it.
Right.
But I'm happy with the job I've got. Very fortunate to have it.
What would your brother end up doing when he was a freshman?
They both put 30-something years in the military. and his assignment there was an active duty assignment when he was still in the Army. They're both retired and living in Winsboro, our hometown now.